Welcome to the On My Block podcast, a Green Bay Packer podcast. I'm your host, Amon Green, along with my good friend and teammate, Mike Wallman. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, all things
Yeah.
considered, AG.
Yeah, all things,
we're,
right.
We're Packers. We're Packers fans,
Yep.
and not a lot to be cheery about after yesterday's performance. Certainly.
No, it was one hell of a game on both sides, which we both talked about. Both teams are going to come in regardless of the circumstances before the game because the NFL planned out a interesting schedule. A lot of people question that schedule of games being played before this game. In terms of the Seahawks games, is what I'm pointing to. Mm-hmm. People brought that up in the media through the week. I believe KJ Wright.
The Seahawks people, in particular.
KJ Wright, who I was on the show with earlier this week, he brought that up. He just thought it was real weird how we were, our game is at 12 o'clock in Detroit game that is going to affect, potentially the mindset of the Detroit players once they see the Seahawks win. And I'm like, he has a point, but players are players. Every player is different, and coaches are different. So mindsets might change regardless of what the circumstances may lay for that team. So as we saw in one hell of a game, we watched last night. So let's get into this real quick. BetOnline, our sponsor here. So basketball is back. BetOnline remains our number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. So always the fastest, easiest way to bet on your favorite sports events, whether it's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, esports, and even golf. So head over to betonline.ag to join and receive a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure you use the promo code BLEAV. That's Believe. Receive your rewards. So BetOnline, where the game starts. So Mike, let's get into this conversation. Last game of the season, now for the Packers, and now we're getting into off-season mindset and some of the information that was shared right at the end of the game in press conference from LaFleur and Mr. Rodgers as well.
Yeah, we'll go back and you said you made a good point that every player treats these games differently. One thing that we have to you have to kind of tip your cap to Dan, to the head coach for the Lions, Dan Campbell, and his staff.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's a player's staff. Everybody knows it.
Yep.
All of their, except for Ben Johnson, all their kind of significant coaches are ex-players. And you just saw that in the way they came out and played, literally from the first kickoff.
Yeah,
the way that they attacked all night. I'm very appreciative of seeing the way they constructed their team is interesting, right? Because they don't have a superstar. No. Really, they don't have a superstar, and so you look at their blue. It's like a blue collar team. I'm not saying they don't have talent. I'm just saying they don't have a superstar. And so you look at they've got this guy who's biting, his whole bite kneecaps thing. He's got all these players that all these ex players that are coaching, that are around in Hard Knocks, and they're the ones acting fools on the field, and you're just kind of like, we're all kind of going like, this is not gonna end well,
right?
But one thing that they do, and everybody talked about it last week. And everybody, except for the Seahawks fans, I think everybody in the media, everybody who watches them play at all, listen, I don't know if they're going to win, but to think that they're not going to come out and just go for it is crazy, because that's who they are. They're going to go for it on fourth down. You saw yesterday, man, our punt return team was terrible. Why? Because they're afraid they're going to run a fake every play. Every time we got on special teams, our special teams looked timid as hell yesterday. Why? They're afraid Dan's going to call some crazy stuff with the special teams coordinator, run a fake play, do some onside kick, fake punt, whatever. You just saw they're the aggressors, and they're always that way, and that's what you have to appreciate. You don't know if they're going to be – you don't know if Dan's team was – well, I didn't – my question was always, okay, emotion's great. You can't win sustained. It's not sustainable to win on emotion. At some point, you have to have technique, football intelligence, all that other stuff. You have to be a master at teaching that as well. But in these, for these specific, and we'll see if that turns out, because it looks like they're playing, they're starting to play winning ball. They're one of the better teams in the league right now. They just don't have the record to get in the playoffs.
Correct.
But in these like one-off games, dude, emotion takes you a long ways. And
it does.
And you just can't believe that. Like, AG, what is it about the Packers? They get in these one-and-done games, and bro, that was that defense gives up the most yards in the entire league. They give up 25 points a game, 26
Detroit's
points a game.
defense. You talking about
I'm
Detroit?
talking about Detroit.
Yes.
We can't score more than 16 points, and we look like it's a damn preseason game.
Right. It was a game like that emotion that you're talking about, Mike. That emotion, they used it the proper way. They were able to even focus tighter, have that technique, and then still have that emotion to drive them to run plays, from the coaching staff calling plays to the players executing the plays. I mean, you watch DeAndre Smith get the ball, run hard. I mean, do things that on a sore knee. There were people mentioned that before game. Not saying that the Packers weren't playing hard, not saying that they weren't in the certain positions they needed to be in, but I just saw the edge on.
I'll say it.
Yeah, was the Detroit Lions. The edge that edge was there. You could see the fight to the bitter end. Even when they were down most of the game, it wasn't until fourth quarter where they actually got the touchdown from Jamal Williams to take them into that lead. Until that time, they were behind the whole game. So they played. The mindset was they were coming here to ruin the party, and I mentioned this last week on the show. Like they were like, you know what, we're not going, you're not going. Let's make it that simple for these guys and the fans. For Packers, unfortunately.
You get down there in the red zone, you score 9 points in the first half, 6-9 at halftime, and you're going, okay, you have to be.
That's not good.
I'll be honest with you. You never know when the game turns, and we have this tape, and we'll show it. Like the game turns, you could say it turned at a bunch of different spots.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, the game for me, when I went, oh, we got problems. Last week against Minnesota, we had a goal line stand.
Yeah,
we did. Okay, we had a goal line stand, changed the game. Early in the game, set the tone. Isaiah Buggs and Alan McNeil, who we didn't even talk about last week. I don't even know. Do you know who they are? They're the defensive tackles for the Detroit Lions. You probably don't know who they are because there's no reason to know who they are because they haven't played. They haven't played for the rest of the season.
Right,
like world beaters. Right, they're pros, and that doesn't sound like I respect the hell out of them, but I respect them a lot more now because they beat up the interior offensive line for the Green Bay Packers last night. They were if you said, Mike, what is the reason Packers couldn't move the ball yesterday? I would say the interior defensive line just absolutely, compared to what you thought was going to happen.
Yeah.
Just did a phenomenal job against run and pass. I mean, just a phenomenal job. You can't believe it.
Yeah. Cause you see that and what, along with Aiden Hutchinson's, 2 sacks, he's getting in there. He's causing a problem along with the disruption from his 2 teammates right there doing their job. And with the offensive line, defensive line, mentality is, look, we go unseen, but we got to do this work. And they did that. They caused problems. They caused the disruption and then, giving Aaron not a clean pocket. Cause I saw that pocket almost capsize on him a few times where he was just able to squeeze out to do Aaron things, either run for a first down, almost got the touchdown to AJ Dillon, where his pass was just behind him, but that was him getting out the pocket. That the pocket was pretty much closing down on him, so he just got out of the harm's way there. But something that, like you said, played a big factor in getting him off his rocker, off his point, I would say, to throw the ball comfortably, which we saw they doing that, and we saw some of the ill throws that came from that later in the game that helped Detroit get the ball back when the interception was thrown later in the game.
Yeah, it's certainly so for fans out there, what happens on every Monday is the coaches go into their coaches meetings and they watch a ton of tape on the opponent, and maybe they do self-scouting on their own team, maybe they don't. Probably this time of the year, maybe they didn't have time to. I don't know.
Right.
And they come up with this game plan, and it's almost like a thematic thing. Like for example, our game plan this week was obviously we're going to show the ghost look where we're running the wide receiver across, and we're going to do a bunch of end arounds, and we're going to show the end around, and we're going to get that because they see the linebackers are fast foot players. I don't know why they did that, but pre-snap, there were a lot of things in this game that were just head scratchers, from all the end arounds to when you go spread, when you go empty. Like, why are you not, like, they've shown they play a lot of man and match coverage. And I know that Aaron likes to just look at it and go, okay, that's man over there. They're playing match, they're playing zone over there. And I know exactly where I'm going to go. Like I get it. Like I get that your quarterback might like that.
Right.
But they've proven when you like motion into bunch, when you motion to a trips look, when you motion across the ball from a 3x2 to a 2x3, they've proven that they don't do that particularly well as far as communicating the switches. Yet we didn't do any of it. We went in the first half. You go 3 times, you go empty. Robert Tonyan makes a phenomenal grab.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're 0 for 3 on all of them. And it's like those are usually gimme plays against this team. I mean, you can go back on tape and see these are plays that we should be able to make easily, but they're a lot more difficult if you're just stagnant and standing there. It's not like these other guys don't have talent. So I don't know the whole thing. It'll be fun to kind of go through this film with you and kind of show you how I saw it, and then hear your take. But it was from the goal line stand on, you're just going, okay, they're more physical. We saw the discipline issues that we had from our young guys, but really everywhere. We were the ones missing tackles. We talked about last week, like they're missing tackles left and right. Dudes come in
and they honed in.
Yeah, they're making tackles. We're missing open field tackles. You're going,
tough. Just having the consciousness to hold on to the ball. Ball gets clipped out of Aaron Jones on that one screenplay. Looked good, picked up big yardage, but then it ends with a fumble and they recover it inbound. So stuff like that. Where the effort would come in to get that ball punched, and then D lineman actually coming in to hit Tonyan off the ball, which was a little smart tactic right there to make sure his teammate got the ball. So it was little stuff like that went Detroit's way, and that a lot of that stuff is just looking at it as pure effort, because that was effort for that D lineman to not let Tonyan get the ball and push his guy out, or push Tonyan out of bounds, and then get his DB to have the recovery right there for that, after Aaron Jones fumbling that rock. So just a pure effort thing right there.
You want to watch some tape?
Yeah, let's roll. Let's roll.
Watch some tape. So I did this chronologically this week.
Okay.
Because we have the TV copy. So I did this chronologically. So we start down. Remember, we get Lazard on the pass interference. The first series looks like it's going really well. We get down on the 5-yard line. And what are we talking about? Hey, we want to run the football. And all year we go, hey, we don't run the football down here. We try to throw it. They try to run the football. What happens? Well,
problems.
Problems. First off, Josh Myers gets beat. Gets shed. He's on the ground. Guy makes the play. I mean,
you can't have that.
Yeah,
that's goal line.
This is. Sorry, going back here a little bit. There we go.
Yeah.
You go back here. He locks out, gets him locked. He gets too high. He's on the ground. Now we got second down. Second goal. Now our left guard gets beat. Matches him outside. Sheds inside. Now he gets. There's another. So now it's 3rd and goal. You got to do something. You got pressure. You got your center getting pushed back. Kaminsky's got the edge on Yosh. Yosh had a rough game. I don't know if he's injured or nothing. So
he did have a tough game. Yeah, he had a serious tough game.
But so he gets this pressure. This doesn't look as bad if he has somewhere to climb in the pocket. But he's drifting back. Bakhtiari, of course, has a great anchor. He gets pushed back about 3 yards, but he's in fine position as long as the quarterback's got somewhere to exit. But Myers is getting pushed back up the middle. He really has nowhere to go here. He escapes.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, why doesn't he run it? Oh, because Malcolm Rodriguez would have hammered him if he did.
Yeah.
So the Lions go 3 and out. We get our 3 points. First down. I think they go 3 and out or 4 and out. So we get the ball back in series first play, right? And usually AG, as you know, what they'll do. So we script all these plays. We script like the first 10, first 15 plays. So once you get down to like the 5, they'll change it, right?
Yeah.
But then they'll go back and they'll start wondering because they still want to see how these different personnel packages and formations look. Okay. We go back. Defensive tackle gets right through Yosh and splits Yosh and JRJ. And listen, this is easy. Yosh takes poor footwork here. This is a very, very difficult block for a backside tackle to cut off a 3 technique without a lot of help from that guard. Like a hand help, do something to slow him down. And the thing that this dude, like if you see this motion coming across, Anzalone is going to play backside hard. So like John Renton Jr., you can slow this down a little bit. You don't have to leave him hanging out to dry like you do. And 1st and 10, and you got your running back.
Yeah,
getting tackled in the backfield.
Exactly, like John Runyon, he just too fast to get up to the second level when he didn't have to. He didn't have to get to that second level because the linebackers actually, with Angeloni going to the left and then the other linebacker just hovering, that gives him plenty of time to let that 3 technique where he kind of gives him that shoulder to put him back on Yashman and then get to the next level for the quarterback. Just to be a little bit patient. And I saw him a few times do this where he looked like he panicked to get to the next level or panicked to get to his next movement. And even on the second sack where Aiden chased down Aaron, almost had a fumble, I could see JRJ kind of panic and do some bad footwork and got himself out of position.
And so what you see here too, we were talking about, they want to run a lot of this motion. They want to bring the guy across the wide receiver we're talking about. So now they can do the pop pass, in behind the line of scrimmage. They can do the reverses, etc. And they're doing it to get this, like they're doing the theme is do this so that you see the defense do that, right? And so that for the defense is their linebackers are going to play the backside a lot. They do it all game.
Yeah,
they do it right here. But if the offensive line doesn't understand, now you see run-ins all the way back here chasing this guy, and the defensive tackle's making the play. It's just a tough way to start in your first 15.
Yeah.
We look backside here. This is 3rd and 1 in the same drive. So I highlight this because if you're an offensive lineman, your stagger has to allow you, unless you're like Walter Jones, who can just take a bunch, or Trent, and take a bunch of steps and still make the block. Your stagger has to allow you to gain leverage going backside. So for Yash, all your weight's got to be the inside part of your right foot right here, because you got to plant to your left and cut this guy off. And if you got to take that first dead step in place with your right foot and then go, now you're late. You get blown back into the backfield and you stop the running back's momentum. I mean, AG, you talk about this at length, man. Like you get the handoff and all of a sudden dude's right in your face. What do you do?
Yeah, that's you react with holding on to the ball, but it's that penetration that I mentioned. Then it gives the running back no time to react. It's a little short time to react. Great ones will react in a way to get themselves out of that problem. But when you give, over and over again, this problem makes it hard and hard every time for a running back to be that guy that you want him to be, that he's been the whole season, basically.
So they don't make this. This is a big play in the game right here. So they go
huge.
4th and 1. They decide to go for it. And you see the communication, right? We talked about they go across. We've already talked about it. Communication issues going, but this is not an empty bunch run. This is a run look.
Yeah, this is a run formation.
This is a 4th and 1 play. This isn't what we're talking about as far as spreading the team out. You see that they point. Anzalone immediately just rotates over. He's going to take a shot at Lazard. Never had a chance.
No, it's like 3 people unblocked, including Angeloni on that play. You got the D tackle coming in, slanting in 78. Angeloni, he sees who he's covering, which is Lazard, and then the other, I think DB or linebacker that was on the same play side. Yeah. He was untouched where he fell down. He thought he was going to get contact, and he didn't. It was like, how you have 3 guys on an interior run play not touched by any of the green, the blockers inside. So it's just interesting seeing that, on that play, on that execution there.
So a lot of people were talking about this sack and what is,
this is the one where
what is JRJ doing? You know what he's doing? He's helping his tackle. That's what he's doing. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. So he's got slide pro. He sees rib cage. You see rib cage here. That's what you do. You take shots at the ribs. Fans out there, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. He's exactly what the problem is. Aaron's when you have to hold the ball. Yeah. Now you drift outside the pocket to your left, and so basically Aiden Hutchinson can absorb that. He can lose more ground, run around this play, and make a play. If he ran high side and you just tried to push him around, and Aaron Rodgers drifted to the left, you're giving up a sack, and people are going to blame you, and it's not your fault again. Right. These are things that happen during the course of a game, man. Like
it's unfortunate, right?
Yeah, this is just an unfortunate consequence of having to hold the ball. Now, if you're going to say anything about Yash here, he's getting bull rushed. Yeah. So the real problem is not JRJ taking a ricochet. JRJ is doing him a favor, because if he doesn't do this right now, he might get bulled right into Aaron's lap, because he's moving back at a pace that is uncomfortably fast.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So if he had a better control of the bull rush, then he would have stayed, I say, more square, where then the help from JRJ doesn't push Aiden out of the path where he's going. He's more in it. He could get back in Aiden's way, basically.
But yeah, this is dodged a bullet here a little bit, huh? There could have been a sack fumble for sure.
Yeah.
So let's highlight some good. Listen, for the most part, the Green Bay Packers defense played a pretty good game.
Yeah, it was a tight game.
Yeah, and when something's back and forth like it is in this situation, I think you're especially appreciative. They've been scoring a ton of points. I know they haven't been doing as well on the road, but this is a team with a great offensive line, 2 good running backs, 4 guys that can stretch the defense, and a quarterback that's making a lot of good throws. So this is a good job by them. I think this is Enigbari up top. I highlighted him because Quay ends up making a play here, but it's really because the defensive end does such a good job of occupying the guard and the tackle. You see that right now Penei Sewell he gets beat inside, and so he's got to turn back in, and so Quay can just fire his gun right here. And this is really when you see the best version of Quay is when he can just you either put him on. We've talked about it before. You tell him exactly what to do as far as pass rush, where you got to go, and then you can use your athleticism. Or it's a very direct, we're going to go in, we're going to do some sort of end will stunt, end linebacker stunt, where you're going to hug this thing tight and make plays. And again, allow yourself to develop that confidence and that football IQ while you're doing things that are a little more in tune with, or a little more structured, I guess.
Yeah, and he's been showing that in the last couple of weeks, where he's getting that execution, where he's in the right gap. He's shooting a lot faster than we saw previously, back a month ago, where you get the opposing team running back gets the ball and he's still sitting at linebacker 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. So now he's getting into there, and it helps with like you said, with Enigbari doing his job, creating problems for the offensive line, then where he could come step in and shoot the gap, get the tackle.
So they go 3 and out again. And so we get back. It's 3rd and 4, and third down, we weren't very good at. So we talked about it ad nauseum, though, right? You're in this spread look. So, on the top, the reason that they want to spread it out is because Aaron can look at this defense right here and go, okay, they're going to play man over on his right. So the top of the screen, they got him literally lined up man to man. And he's probably guessing on the bottom that they're going to go some sort of zone coverage. They're going to match up because the linebacker's inside leverage on the inside slot. We got inside leverage. He's probably going to pop out on the middle slot. Right. So that's going to be some kind of pass off game depending on who goes where. So he knows he wants to throw the man route. But the problem, this is a great play by Tonyan. And all of that's fantastic. Right. Yep. And you got to make these plays. And this is why he's Aaron Rodgers. But just from a schematic standpoint, we've seen that they have issues in this motion. And this is the 1 out of 3 times that it worked. And Tonyan had to make a hell of a play for it to work. So you want to make them communicate a little bit more pre-snap and get that full speed motion across, and then have to deal with that speed and pass off. Great play by him, though. Seriously, getting fired up. Love it.
Yeah, that was probably the best concept of routes. There was a short flat route and then a corner route over top. Those routes came open later for Aaron, and a few in the vertical game too. Unfortunately, led to the interception that he was trying to take advantage of later in the game.
We got a 3rd and 5, and this is I think this is a coincidence that all these came up at 3rd down, bro. But so this is Yosh getting beat here on the inside by a great move by Hutchinson. So 3 hard upfield gets him to kind of extend bad body position, puts his head down.
Yeah.
And listen, the kid's going to be a good player. I think everybody's would probably be a little bit shocked that. I would be surprised if Yosh isn't hurt or something, because
he had a shoulder, I believe.
He just didn't look good, though.
Right. Yeah. I think previous weeks up until this game, it was a shoulder thing. And that sometimes, with some players with certain injuries, especially for linemen, your shoulders is kind of where you work. So to have that as a weakness, and it's not really been talked about, but you could tell from the play action, from this gameplay from the player, that something ain't right with him. He's like, wait a minute, it's just too many plays that he's getting by him. He's getting guys going around him a little too easy here, so he might be in his head knowing that the injury is there and not really speaking up about it or getting the rehab that he needs, but it's just showing out on the field, unfortunately.
You just see this, from an offensive line's perspective, you see the hands outside, the bad body position, heads down, trying to catch. And it's just mechanically, it's hard, right? Because you're doing a ton of stuff wrong. Mm-hmm. And what happens, especially an offensive defensive line player, like running backs, linebackers, when you block them, you can be wrong 8 times in a row and still win, right? And nobody notices it. But when I watch this, I go, oh, well, you're, regardless if you win or lose, you're wrong. That's not how you want to block the guy. No. You want to do it. You want to go through your process, go through it the right way, so you don't have these situations at all. But this is a tough look, and it looks like he might even had a chip on with AJ on the outside, so makes it even worse, right? Just let him go this time, get a little chip. Although I don't think they do that usually from the backfield anymore.
Yeah, you want to get to that more the outside leverage side of the body of the tackle. So I want to get on that right hand of right hip of Yashmin before I do that chip, unless it is the talked about pre-snap inside chip from that standpoint.
So this is after they had the touchdown call back for holding, and these are kind of just big momentum plays in the game.
Yeah.
So they have that was a huge play. They're bringing the rookie, I think the Alabama kid, goes down the sideline to get it called back. Matt Nelson gets a holding call. So now you got 3rd and 10.
Yeah, this play right here is nice. Nice chip by the running back there.
Yeah. So AG, go ahead because enjoy this because
beautiful. I mean, this
launched him up.
This is what I was just talking about previous play with AJ Dillon. That's a chip pre-snap, and then right here, this is what I'm talking about. This is full effort where he's going to have a 5-yard gain, but from his effort, he busts through. This was a tackle drill that we practiced in training camp. Where a contact drill, you got 2 defenders, they're enclosing on you, and you want to split the bags. That's what it was called. It was called split the bag. So you split the defenders to get another 5 yards, and that's what happens. Even though it's training during training camp, it's just an idea. Okay, this is what we want. You want you to split those 2 tacklers to gain extra yards, not knowing that you're going to actually get the effort and then get the first down on this play. So that's basically a training drill coming to fruition right here for a lot of NFL teams, a lot of NFL players that have been through it, me being one of them. So good job by this running back, splitting through there and getting the first down. And it was just plays like this throughout the game, like you just mentioned, in that second half, that the Lions were just finding plays, making plays happen, and executing along the way with all that full effort.
So you'll say it that way. I'll say it this way. Pete Carroll, because you're right. For the running back, you're right. For the defensive guys, Pete Carroll and his staff in Seattle came out with this hawk tackling technique on YouTube.
Yeah, I remember the hawk tackling. Yep, I used it. It
was the first time that most people had ever even thought about. You and I play rugby.
They take it from rugby.
Rugby tackling, interesting.
Yep, I used it.
This is a combo tackle on the field, and this is literally the drill. Like you're almost parallel, you're almost right on the same level as each other. You're coming up, you go hip to hip, you hit same foot, same shoulder. This is literally the drill that I guarantee every single one of these players has done at some point in their careers at this stage,
100%.
right at the professional stage. And you get to this point and you look like that.
He looks like, unfortunately, that's Rasul. Yeah. He looks like Yashmin in his tackle stance trying to block. His head is over his shoulders. He doesn't have his butt low, but his butt is too high.
He's bending at the waist. He's not a hip bender, right?
Exactly. You got to bend a little deeper at the waist to get that, that Z bend or Z in the legs to where you could extend on contact when you run into this line, or running back runs into you to try to get some pushback.
This is crazy. So they're on another way to say this is a human just ran through 2 humans for 5 extra yards, which is 15 feet.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Momentum. He built up speed and leg drive. Leg drive one-on-one. He on contact. That was number 1 for us. On contact, if we're blocking or going into trying to break a tackle, one thing that was number 1 in my head by the time I got here already, but I say that was emphasized game by game by Edgar Bennett and Sylvester Croom, is on contact, picking up a blitz or going into contact, run your legs. Once you run your legs, what's the running back did, you'll gain extra yardage. Is pretty much the defender is adjusting to trying to tackle you, and then you run your legs. Well, then any space that's there, you'll take up that space and gain the yards like that running back game right there.
Devonte Wyatt gets a sack fumble. Jared Goff recovers. Great play by him. Beat the right guard. Inside move. This is kind of the feast and famine, though, right? So you have this so next play, 3rd and 6. Yes, is it a passing situation? It is a passing situation. But we also
know play call. Great play call.
We also know that the Lions run the ball on 3rd and medium to long more than other teams in the league. Like they literally said it before this play on the telecast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they just say, Devontae Wyatt's probably really excited. So they're just going to inside trap him. Bang.
Yep.
Job done. It's a great play call. It's also a level of awareness. Yeah.
Yep. And just having the defensive side, like they had the big gap in the middle too. That kind of was suspicious to me. You got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. I think I want to have the 3 techniques a little tighter on that center and guard area because that's a sweet area. That's like that's the wheelhouse where you want to run as a running back in a short yardage situation. You want to run right up the gap if they give you that space, and they did. They gave they gave the Detroit Lions space on that play.
So this is Aaron Jones' fumble. So right before the half, we're driving, putting together a good drive. It's still 3-9. It doesn't look like the Detroit Lions are going to get the ball back at all, right? So we'll go down here, kick a field goal, score a touchdown. There's a minute and change left. This is ultimately Aaron Jones is responsible, right? You take you take ultimate ownership of what you do because
exactly as a running back,
but because you have to hold the ball. So Robert Tonyan is a tight end going up against a 190-pound defensive back. Okay, and what happens is instead of being the hammer, he's the nail. Bop, gets pushed off. Okay, because he doesn't attack him, and so now Aaron Jones has to hurdle him and take his left hand and put it down away instead of covering up this ball. When John Kaminsky, who's a defensive end, who is dropping in coverage, comes over and lays a 295-pound guy laying a hit, putting all your pressure out on that. You can't cover up the ball because you're busy tackling another guy. Your attention is elsewhere.
It's elsewhere. Your focus,
this
broken up.
You are running back, whoever holds the ball is ultimately responsible for the ball. But it's little things like this that make a huge difference in the game, isn't it?
Yeah, very huge. This is something I missed, but just knowing as a running back, it's like you own it regardless of what you were doing with the rest of your body here. You're right. Where Tonyan has to go in there and inflict the pain to him, to the DB, and not receive it, not absorb it. And leads to that right there.
It kind of goes with that theme that we talk about. The Lions are the more physical team, right? If you want to pull up a handful of plays, we've already showed a ton of them in the goal line stand. But plays like that, it's little things that actually do make a difference in these games, man. And you can't skirt the responsibility of holding onto the football, but you also have to see from everybody else on the field has a responsibility as well.
Yep, because you never know when that play or pop up or that little inch will be needed, somewhere in the game.
So they get the ball back. There's like a minute left to go. It's 1st and 10 here. They make the tackle. Fair enough. And now we got tackling issues. And from one of our young guys. So Swift gets it.
That's Quay. Is that Quay?
Yeah, that's Quay, man. And it's like it's like two ships in the night, unfortunately. Their chests are pointed different directions. This is going to be a problem. 32 is really fast.
Yep.
And this is a huge play because not only does he break, he gets the first, he gets another 15 yards, and now they're in field goal situation, right? So halftime, it's 9-6.
Nice. I like the edit there. Good job.
And what you say about this, like, okay, if you're the Green Bay Packers, you go in at halftime, you go, all right, listen, guys, defense, great job. You're holding to 6 points. It's starting like there's a little bit of these errors that we got to reset. We got to reset our mind. We've had some lapses in tackling. We've had some lapses on some reads in the run game, but you held a high scoring offense to 6 points. Offense, 3 trips down there, 9 points. Field goals aren't going to cut it, right? I mean, like, what do you remember in these situations, in these big games? Are there adjustments that you remember that our coach is just like, hey, we got to bear down, we got to finish drives? Or they're like, hey, they're doing X, we got to do Y. What is it? What's normally the situation in your experience?
I've been in both. I've been in where there's actual detailed execution adjustments. Hey, we're seeing the DN is doing this, so I need you to inside chip here, or the linebacker is green dogging you, so really get out the backfield a lot faster instead of just floating. Those are exact key adjustment. But then it's the bigger thing. Hey guys, we need more effort. We need to work harder. We need to convert on the 3rd and short, or the 4th and short. If we're going to go for it, we got to get it. Those, so I've had both. I've been in both. But what I like better for me as a player, being the player who I am, professional, I want the exact details. Because I'm gonna get myself amped up.
You don't need big picture, right?
I don't need big picture. I need the exact. I say, where exactly do you need me to go and sit? I need to be outside or inside. Do I need to be on his left hip or right hip? Or if I run this run play, am I trying to, if it's a 92 blast, for example, if the linebackers aren't running over top, what do I need to do? Then I need to take one more step. If I take that one more step, then they go run, then I'll have the cutback if I want the cutback. So just give me those exact details, because the big picture thing is like, I can handle that. I'm a pro. I know how to big picture. Yeah, we got to win this game. I got to do whatever is in my power to win, to throw the ball, cast the ball, whatever, tackle if I'm on offense or defense, to help my team win. So big picture stuff, I like it, but I want to know the exact details, what you see as a coach or what I can't see as a player, to make me better on that football field.
Yep. We call it filling in the gaps, right?
Yeah.
I think this is such a really critical point that you just made, Ahmad, because what happens in the National Football League, it happens in all sports.
It is. It's
because
everywhere.
communication is tough, and there's emotion involved in all this. And sometimes like guys really don't know, coaches, players, they don't really know what how to express what they're trying to get across. So we always talk about complex ideas versus simple ideas. Players really just want like you can communicate simple stuff. I can fix simple stuff.
Yep.
So communicate it that way. If I'm tackling poorly, don't just say tackle better. There's got to be, hey, we're not doing a good job of decelerating. We're not doing a job of breaking down before. We're not tracking the hip properly. Like, you got to tell me how to tackle better. If I'm not blocking well, hey, your first step is losing leverage and you're high into contact everything. You have to tell me that. Don't just say block better or get your pad level lower. That doesn't make sense. And what happens a lot of times with these guys is we get into these situations, hey, we just got to bear down and play better. It's like, okay, dude, we're trying to play better. We know.
Right.
Give us something to bite on, right? Give us something to bite on.
Yeah, give me some real stuff. That's Little League talk. Honestly, I could get hype. That's not an issue.
Let's go out of halftime now. 6-9. So we got the ball at 2nd and 4.
Great.
And this is what I thought, bro. This is what I thought we were doing all day. This is honestly what I thought the offense was supposed to be this week. You put Mercedes on a linebacker or a safety. You let him drive block, and you just take one of their outside guys who isn't like the most physical person, and you have them make the play coming in from the side on the hole. We have a 17-yard gain here. And it's like,
fantastic run.
That's not rocket science, though. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't a rocket science play. We just didn't see a lot of it. We saw a lot of the end arounds and the motions and and all the nonsense. But it's like, let's have some attitude plays. And that'll get you fired up. You see inside leverage here. I think this is a miss. I don't know if this is a miss by Dobbs or Aaron Rodgers. I think it was maybe a low throw. But you got two outside leverage guys. Again, Aaron knows pre-snap where he's going to go with the football. You got two slants here. And this is a big third down because you're driving. You have an opportunity at 3rd and 7 to pick up this first down and continue this drive. And you tell me, it looks like maybe it was a little bit low. Is that right?
It looks a little low, but to me, it looks catchable. It looks like it hits him in his hands. Yeah,
that's what I heard. I heard from somebody that it was low, and I'm watching this and. Yeah, it's a low ball.
It's a low ball.
You hope he can make it.
Yep, he can adjust by maybe falling into it because that's key. Like that's experience. Knowing your quarterback, how he throws balls in that situation. That's a Devontae catch. That's a catch. You got guys that are experienced.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, Alan Lazard. That's a catch. Because it's a low ball. Like I've seen Tom Brady do this with his receivers. He's getting his receivers out of harm's way. You know what? I'm gonna throw it low. You could catch it and then slide towards the first down because you're untouched. That is almost like a conversation that's happened in every practice from training camp to every Wednesday 7-on-7 drill. Like, hey, when we're on the goal line, it's 3rd and short, or not goal line, but if we're, trying to convert on a 3rd and medium, I'm going to throw it low so you could just catch and slide. You don't get hit, nothing, hand the ball to the ref, keep the ball moving, first down. So those are just one of those experience things you could see on that play with Romeo Doubs there in between him and Aaron.
And why does that play matter? Right
here.
We donk it off. Last week this was good. Bounce not going our way this week in a number of different ways. And then literally next play, Jamal Williams goes off, big run,
physical, getting them.
But he's ready. You know what I mean? He was ready all day long. And what I'm pointing out here is you got a ton of dudes over here on the left side of the screen. There's nobody in the B gap. No. And so it's either Quay is supposed to get there or your defensive tackle is supposed to loop out. Now, given that everybody's over here on the line to come in and these guys are slanting, I'm guessing the defensive tackle was supposed to loop out here and he didn't. But because he didn't, because they were able to run this double and capture this guy, bro, I can run through that hole.
Yeah, that thing.
You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, it's nice. But it's just mindful, work there where Quay has to see that happen and maybe – he's still reacting as a young player, reacting, knowing that outside where, oh my God, my guy didn't loop out. He looped in or he stayed in because of the double team. You jump out there, just be a football player. Just know where as a defender, you got to fill those run fits. Those are the gaps that defenders look at. Linebackers it's all about gaps. If you're figuring that you're going to cover that outside gap there, that B gap, and knowing this tackle's going to go inside potentially, and he's doubled anyway, then this mindful, like, hey, I got to go fill a gap. If I'm not there, it's going to be wide open.
And the hard thing is, like, you're playing linebacker and the guy's coming right at you because they're double teaming him off the line of scrimmage. Like, it's just if you don't pre-snap see, like, okay, my guy, like I think the guy's looping out. I'm probably going to hit this A gap hard, and all of a sudden it just doesn't happen. All of a sudden the guy's coming towards you. He didn't loop. It's like these are pre-snap issues. Like this is what we call in tennis. Like what are they? Self-enforced error.
Mm-hmm.
You know, unnecessary. And then you come back to, again, the very next play, and we talked about it before. They do a great job doing under center play action pass, and they get Jared Goff off the spot. What was nuts about this is they very rarely roll him the other way, and his ability to flip his hips here is nuts. Like that is a big time. Dude, he got his toe all the way around to where he wanted to throw this ball. You got to give your hat out. This is a great call by Ben Johnson. This is a great execution by the line and the fullback in particular, getting Preston Smith to go inside and suck him in. And then Goff getting these hips around here. Like they talked about the back end of this on TV against Ford. And like they should, it was a great route. But bro, this is a hard play action throw for Jared Goff. This is what you talk about. The guy can make it. This is why number 2 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
That's big time, man.
Yeah. To get around, flip your hips and point your toe forward is basically giving your every, I say quality of detail. For you to win on that throw as a quarterback, you give yourself a high percentage to win. You know, he doesn't flip the hips, he doesn't point the toe, then the percentage goes down. But as the percentage is high because hips are flipped, toe is pointed, and he throws he's able to put all his power into that throw.
We talk about, being able to like making Goff throw, like move to his left. That's great. But not if he gets his feet down. It's a whole different story, right? We're talking like
it is.
On the run and getting your feet set. Like that kid can sling it now. So they score. Jamal Williams goes in, ties Barry Sanders for most single season touchdowns of all time, by the way, on the Lions, which was nuts to hear.
No, amazing. Like I was like, wow. So good job.
So we come back and Zach Tom came in the game and replaced Josh. And again, let's not even speculate what was going on there. But this is, you got young players in the game, and this is part of the problem, right? So he's got play action pass. And for whatever reason, Josh, and you saw this even more during the game if they showed the Enzo copy, but he's pointed the wrong direction. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, he's giving up the inside gap.
Yeah.
He didn't. His feet have shifted. So he was in a stance where his right foot was back. Now his left foot's back. He shifted to the inside, but he's blocking the B gap. And you give up a pressure. This is an unforced error. This is it's unnecessary. There's no reason that should happen. It's just footwork. That's just fundamentals, basic fundamentals of the game. I love these kind of plays. You got 1st and 10. You got 2 guys coming down to block Hutchinson. So we used to call this K4 protection, AG.
Okay. In Green Bay or Miami?
In Carolina, actually.
Oh, Carolina.
So K4 was basically you were gonna full slide left or right. So if it was 4, you're gonna slide to the left, and then you'd have tight end. You'd have 2 guys running at the defensive end. It was basically saying you 5 block the other 4 plus anything else that comes.
Any garbage that comes.
And then the running backs have responsibility for the guy on the defensive end. It's like the first guy takes a shot, the second guy cleans up, and it just gives you time, especially under center play action like they run here, to get Watson open. And Watson just makes a phenomenal play. This is regardless of
he grew up
how this season ended. You got to be excited about this guy next year, huh?
Yeah. He grew up this game. He grew an extra layer of experience and confidence in himself, and he definitely got it from Aaron. And like, I know we're going to talk about it later, but looking at the roster for the Packers, I'm feeling good about next season. I know if I'm Aaron, I'm like, when he says you got to think, we're going to talk about that. I know we already talked about it. He got to think about some things. Well, think about this. You got Romeo and Watson now have a year under their belt. Now they have confidence. They've been beat up. They've been thrown to the briar patch. So now they've been in the thorns, getting beat up, getting ridiculed, and now have come out of that with their heads up. So for me, I'm looking very optimistic at the mini camps, training camp, get ready for the next season just to make sure guys stay healthy. That's the biggest thing.
I'm with you. So we go down, we score, get the ball back. These are these little plays in the game talking about Dobbs. Listen, this happens, but you got to appreciate how good Aaron Rodgers is. Oh my God. The ball was literally hit him in the 8. That was a handoff. That's literally a handoff. That's how perfect he threw that ball. Yeah. It's just the quarterback knowing, okay, I got man covered, so I could throw it behind the DB's head. He's not going to look until the last minute. By the time he looks, the ball is in my receiver's hands. Literally, all he had to do is put a cradle. He's got to put his hands there and then squeeze once he feels the ball. that look kind of said it all, didn't it? Yeah. So So it's 13-16, fourth quarter now. Detroit gets the ball back. And, I mean, Jamal's just – they're starting to – you just felt that the momentum was with the Lions, and they're just starting to take over. And you just see, like, you stop the ball right here. You just see all these by. Look at their offensive line that's clustered in this 4-pack right here. They're all facing the same direction.
Yep.
Just
They're
like
looking for body. They look
just pushing people down, and then you see the tight end coming across to block Preston Smith.
Yep. And he
just a great play. Just a great play. And we talk about Quay a lot, man, and like, he makes a ton of tackles 8 yards downfield. And that's not necessarily his fault. It's just how it's looked this year. And that's certainly something that I think from his style of play is one thing, but it also has a lot to do with what's going on up front, especially on a play like that.
Yeah, and that'll be stuff to take in the offseason. If he's a pro, if somebody needs to show him, take notes of his gameplay throughout the year and what he struggled at. That'll be one thing should be high on his priority list. Play reaction, play recognition, so I can get down in the gap, to use my physical abilities to get in the hole right away.
Okay, so I showed that last play just to show that we now had this pretty big. I believe this is a 4th and 2. Okay, and it's 4th and 2, and you've got both corners. I don't know. Are they 8 yards off? 7 yards off?
They are at least 8, 7 to 8 yards off the ball. Which
so they're off. It's a 2-yard route.
That's it. Just sit at the sticks. Sit at the sticks.
And this happened twice. It happened twice. It had the last play of the game as well. And you just go. And this has been like you get on. Listen, you can get on the internet and people are going, "Why they play off?" But there's a reason that they play off in a lot of these situations, and the reason is because they would rather just give ground and not get beat deep. Right? That's why they do this. But in these situations, with the guy with the quality, especially with the quality of player that Jaire Alexander is, and it's a 4th and 2 look. Like, I'm taking him to not get beat on the go route. I'm taking it. Like, you got to, like, sometimes you got to live and die with your guys. Like, if you got a guy, you got to take advantage. At least make Goff go to the other side. But like, if I'm Jaire Alexander, I'm thinking. I know he's, he might just be going, dude, I don't care. They got a 2-yard gain. Like, it doesn't matter. And it's like, well, it does matter in your stats at the end of the year. Someone's going to say, oh, they got this catch for 2 yards. It didn't matter. But like, it does matter.
Yeah, it does matter.
Because it moved the sticks. It does matter. And so I think there's usually two things going on. One, from a player's perspective, they're like, dude, I'd rather give that up than not get beat. But I don't think he's like, I'm slowly starting to understand that a lot of his bravado is not like, it's not bullshit. Like, he really thinks he's that good. So like, right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, if you think you're that good, bro, like, you need to, hey, plant your flag in the ground. Joe Barry, put this guy in press. Don't let him do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm giving them the opportunity to make plays for themselves, for the team, for themselves, for the team. And this was something that obviously came back later. It hurt him.
He's so bombastic sometimes that you go, he's just doing this. Like, no, I'm beginning to believe that dude 100% thinks that he's it. He's the guy. He's the cock and the balls. You know what I mean? Like, he's it. Yeah. Like, I respect the hell out of it, honestly, because like it's hard. It's hard to be the guy. And he thinks, but if you're going to be the guy, then in those situations, your coordinator has to allow you to be the guy as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes sense. Put the players in the best place, in the best situation to win.
So, the only reason I brought this in is because they didn't show Quay. They didn't show Quay pushing the 23-year-old intern trainer, and then they didn't show Wyatt. The two first-round rookies. Then Wyatt comes up and like kind of walks up and chest, like gives him like the chest kind of tough guy thing, and you're like, it's almost like, really?
I didn't know what they were doing. I'm like, do they know him? I'm like, do they know him personally?
Like, you almost hope it's a joke. You know? It's like, what would be the point of doing that? So this is the last time you see him,
Quay Walker,
in the 2022-2023 season. This is his last play. And so Wyatt goes over, does the chest bump thing. And listen, these guys got bright futures, and people we've all made mistakes, right? Yeah. It's just kind of this is a big situation. This kind of stuff is just being young too, though. Goal line. Now, they're going to run the trap again. Why? Because he plays wide. Now, when you see Penei Sewell come down and double Kenny right here, you see that, dude, you got to take space, bro. Your head's there. Like, you see him going down. You got to take space. You can't go straight up field. His second step here goes back. He's all the way on the other side of his hash with his left foot.
Yeah.
You can't make it that easy for people, right? And this is just part of being young.
Yeah.
You got to close that gap. I'm not saying they're going to hold him out the whole time. What I am saying is don't let it be in your gap. This is in your gap. This is on you.
You know, because then the double team gets pushed right into DeAndre Campbell, and it's pretty much a walk-in for Jamal.
Nothing you can do, right?
Nothing.
So it looks like we got 5 minutes left. We're down 4. Now, this is a 2nd and 2 look, AG, and I just stopped it here because 2nd and 2, the green line, for those of you watching at home, is the line of scrimmage. Now, you see one of our guys on his side on the floor in the field position. And again, until I mentioned them, do you know the starting defensive tackles for the Detroit Lions? Oh, they're Buggs and McNeil?
Yeah, Buggs and McNeil. Yeah,
okay.
I looked it up.
Yeah. Now, I clearly didn't give them the amount of respect they deserved because we got one guy in the ground, we got one guy making the tackle in the backfield, and we got our left tackle pushed back in the backfield. Yeah. This is a play side inside zone run. That's all it is.
Yeah, and it's already destroyed. It's been destroyed from the start.
You're just going, you got to be joking.
No, want to. Making plays.
We give the ball back, and this is the drive that ends the Green Bay Packers season.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and this is drives that run game coordinators, running back coaches, O-line coaches, this is what we get. This is what they get excited for.
This is the dream.
This is 4-minute football.
Yes.
Edgar used to say to me, and he said, at this point of the game, AG, don't even look at the sideline. You're staying in there the whole drive. You're going to end this game. And you know what? I'll be like, after a while, it's like, you know what, coach? Yeah, I don't even think about looking. You damn right. I want the ball. I want to end this game. You know, and that's how a running back thinks when this is put on me and my O-line. Let's go. You know, let's make this happen. No problem. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make sure the ball gets converted. Hold on to it. If I'm play action, pass, protection, any of that's going to happen. Let's go. You know,
we got 2 doubles on the inside here. Frank Ragnow on the left guard and the right guard, right tackle. Frank Ragnow does a great job. So Frank's all-pro center.
Yep.
Gets his first block, and they see how they're staying square here, and they're rising up to Devondre Campbell, so he can get off on Devondre. He's got to try to make an arm tackle. Savage, who, by the way, Savage had a good game. There wasn't a lot of stuff to put on in here, but he played a good game. I know I think he led the team in tackles. They had 2 PBUs. Played a good game though. But that's so first down of the drive for the season, and they get 9 yards.
Yeah.
Second down, we got a rookie jump off sides. Automatic first here. You just go, I mean, that's tough.
Yep.
It happens, but it's tough. So now they have a holding call. 2nd and 17. They had the holding call on the wide receiver screen on the left, right? Number 82 got the hold. And Ben Johnson pulls this play out and probably gets himself a head coaching job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The hook and ladder. I'm like, oh my God.
Behind the line of scrimmage, hook and ladder. Now, Penei Sewell gets a lot of notoriety. He was the first-round pick out of Oregon, super good athlete. Yeah. Darnell Savage is the unfortunate victim here of a splattering.
Yeah, he wasn't even in the right position to hit him. Sewell just hit him basically, his hips are turned one way, and he just takes his other body turns, and it's like, take that. I'm like, we already know he's an athlete, so.
Yeah, So they get down, and now it's 3rd and 3. Our man, Chris Barnes, in the game. Now, here's what's kind of weird. Devondre Campbell's down here on the line of scrimmage. For me, I'd put a defensive end in. Up to you. Yeah. But they just very easily down block him. But Chris Barnes runs through it, makes the play. 4th down. Everything you want. By the way, let's go back. Sorry, we have to go back and appreciate this. Okay.
Okay.
Nope. Oh, Mike, come on now. Here we go.
What's up?
Now, not LaFleur hoping that everybody, cheers louder, but look at Chris Gizzy's mustache. He looks
it's
like
perfect.
Does he look like Super Mario?
He
That's unbelievable. What a strong stash.
Gizzy.
What a stud. That guy's a stud, by the way.
He's a stud. Yeah.
All right. So 4th and 1. We've already been through this, but where are you going? Where are you going?
Right. He was already backing up. Like, what are you backing up for?
Backpedal. Okay, so right now, he's 10 yards or 9 yards off of his player. It's he has to throw the ball 1 yard for those playing at home. The quarterback has to throw 1 yard vertically before the DB can break and run 8 yards vertically. Doesn't seem that hard. I'm just saying.
Right.
So they sit down. I don't know if he thought Chris Barnes was going to be able to get all the way over here, because if they did, then this guy's wide open as well, because Jair's way off his guy. So this could be either cornerback. This is a tough way, man. That's just a tough way to end the season right there.
Yeah.
And and I guess it's fitting because it's kind of been there the whole time, but it's unfortunate because you just start looking around at the whole season. You go through some individual players certainly showing up, Christian Watson, those guys playing at a high level and kind of coming into their own. You see some things about the offensive line. Some guy, Zach Tom, shows that he can be a player in this league.
Yeah.
But you look at some themes across not only this year, AG, but really the last couple of years, even when they've been successful. Like, I think Matt LaFleur might even said it. Success hides a lot of problems.
It does. That's such a true statement.
We've talked about it ad nauseum, man. They still don't tackle well. They still don't communicate well. They still have plays like that play in particular that happened twice in crucial moments of the game where you're not even giving your one highest paid DB in the league, one of the best players in the league, you're not even giving him a chance to make a play.
Yeah.
Right. And so there are just some things about what's happening on this team that when you see at the end of the game, and of course everybody's down, and Aaron Rodgers, he goes for 200 yards, 205 yards, touchdown and a pick, right?
Yeah, he had multiple picks.
Well, he did have multiple picks, but they called the one back.
Oh, he had two. He had 2 picks though. It was 3 thrown and 2 picks.
Okay.
I think it was for sure.
Okay.
It was something like that.
Okay.
It's just weird. I'm looking at the stats. It should be 2 picks. I know one got called back.
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's one, but it doesn't matter. So anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
He had the touchdown and one or 2 picks. Not a good night by his standards. Aaron Jones only gets 12 carries. AJ gets 9 carries. We give 4 carries to the wide receivers.
Yeah.
Okay. The defense. I mean, listen, honestly, like Jamal Williams had a good game in the second half, 72 yards rushing, 16 carries. He had a good game in the second half. They're a strong offensive line. If it's a close game, they're going to be able to wear on you. Their offensive line's better than our box 7. That's we knew that going into the game. Swift had his big play moments. Certainly, they had, but Goff didn't have a great game. Goff was 23 of 34 for 224, but a lot of his balls put them in positions where they couldn't get run after catch yardage, and I mean,
it came at the throws and the plays came at the right times.
But Rodgers comes after the game. And he wants to hold on to the jersey, and he's walking out with Cobb, and he's a little bit cryptic about everything.
Yeah,
and you have to ask the question: this is another game where it's one and done, and they fail to perform at a level that's acceptable? Even if you lose, and you lose with honor, that's different than this. Scoring 16 points against the team who gives up 400 yards of offense every week. So if you're, and I want you don't have to put yourself in Aaron Rodgers' shoes, but let's say you're 38 years old, AG, you're 4-time MVP, or you've had this great career that you've had, or even when you were playing, you're getting on in years, and you're going, is this, what am I doing this for? Do you think that he sees kind of the stuff that we're seeing? Does this make sense for him? Is this really the best opportunity to win a Super Bowl as they're constructed right now from a staffing perspective and a player perspective?
I'll say for him, looking at this, it's still a lot of question marks. It's not fully there because you got young players still developing, even though they did get better in terms of the wide receivers crew, more apt. than anybody out there. That was the big adjustment from the first part of the year to now.
Mhm.
And then I say coaching wise, play calling wise, just what is the focus? Because you remember mid-season on that 5-game losing streak, they didn't really have an identity. They were wanting to stick to the run, but then sometimes would totally go away from it because they have Aaron Rodgers, they have receivers that weren't quite there, but they thought they could still go out there and make plays, make catches, change the difference of the game, change the momentum. But they don't have that. They didn't have that this year, but they will next year. So it's just a lot of open question marks for him to think about, for Aaron to think about in terms of this. So it's going to be it's going to be cryptic. It's going to be no clear-cut answer until he sits and really thinks about it. Or if I was them, be like, I got to look at and think about a few things, go over some things in my head, look at the seat, go back and look at the season and how it made me feel and how I was preparing for every instance, for every game within the Division II and then within the NFC conference as well.
If I'm on this team and I'm a veteran, high level player, I'm frustrated that for whatever reason, there's a Greek philosopher, Archilochus, right? He says you don't rise to the level of your expectations or your level of your training. You don't rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to the level of your training, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't rise to the occasion. You don't rise to your expectations. You fall to whatever level you're training at.
Yeah.
And I know that's not 100%, concrete, but I like to think that athletes can kind of live their lives on that motto, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
And teams. And so when you continue to show a lack of improvement in certain areas, when you continue to struggle in these games, we've talked about it ad nauseum on this team over the last couple of years on this show. There's something else there. There's something bigger going on. And I wonder with him, because I don't think it's like he can go to another. I don't think he's going to go play for the Niners. Maybe he does. But I think with his cap and everything, I think it'd be really ugly and messy. It's either retire, right? Retire and go own a team or something, or stay and play. I don't know if there's a better opportunity because he does have weapons, but there's something about what they're doing that doesn't make sense. And it's like they were timid on special teams. They have Nixon. They're timid on special teams because they're afraid they're going to run fakes. Well, you can't be timid. But if you taught it all week, worry about the fake, what do you think the players are going to do? They're going to be timid.
Yeah,
they worry.
Just be aware.
Yeah. You showed that's what you did by the actions on the field. If you're playing 8 yards off on a 1 yard route in the most critical part of the game, don't be surprised if you get beat. Like those little things, and if they keep happening, how many times during the year you're watching the Commanders game? It's like, all right, it's 3rd and 10. We're at 13 deep. It's like it doesn't really make that much sense. You know what I mean? And it happens over and over. So, and listen, I was shocked that we couldn't even get 25 carries between our two running backs in a tight game, and they don't even deserve it. By I mean the offense, because they couldn't open any holes because their two defensive tackles were busy beating us. So it's where do you go from here? I think when Coach LaFleur says we have to look at every facet of what we do, I hope they do that and make we could talk about it probably in the offseason, but make the requisite changes because they're just too talented a team to even having to be playing for the 7th seed, much less lose.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw it unravel this season, from the injuries to the losing streak and just the mindset of trying to get into players' heads, which Aaron was doing, trying to, he was being a leader and trying different ways to get them motivated or get them to hold themselves accountable for doing certain things, not doing, play review or film review and catching the ball at certain time, just having that, what he had, basically trying to duplicate what he had with Devontae and those other receivers before this year. That was all the play of the state of play in the first part of the year. And so all that was going on, and that's not conducive to having a successful season. It's just, people question each other, question themselves. And I think it was a lot of that going on. And now you just got to have a quiet time to just let the dust settle and then come into a situation where you could think clearly about, for every player, not just Aaron, for every player, coach are included, of where we're going to be looking at for 2023. what's mini camps and all that get here, where are we going to go? What's going to be our identity then? That's where you set it at in May, April, OTAs or whatever, June OTAs. That's where you set the identity for the team. Then and there.
There's two things. I think you make great points. There's two things. One thing I hope it doesn't happen. I've seen this happen multiple times, multiple teams. I hope they don't go in the back room after this and go, well, we just got to get some players at some positions and we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
We got to just pick up an interior offensive lineman, a tight end, and we're going to be okay. It's like, no,
it's deeper than that.
You have a systemic problem.
Yes, it's deeper than that.
You have a systemic problem, and don't try to gloss over it by blaming the players, because that's the easy way out. It's not their fault. You've chosen them and you've coached them. It's on you. The second part of that is when you have, and not to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but when you have a 38 or 40-year-old 4-time MVP, stalwart, face of the franchise, responsible for a lot of commas and a lot of zeros and multiple people's paychecks across the levels of the organization, when you have that person in the locker room, I think that Matt LaFleur had walked into a great situation, and I think he walked into an incredibly difficult situation, because when you say Aaron Rodgers is this, the leadership and all this stuff, and he's trying to do this, well, he's doing it in part because it's not getting done from maybe the coach.
Correct.
And why? Because he's there, because he's the alpha, because he's everything to that franchise.
Yeah.
And there might need to be some sort of acknowledgement or discussion or something that goes on with, like, hey man, if we are going to hold these guys to a standard, then we'll get to if your standard's higher than ours right now, Aaron, like if Aaron's standard is higher than theirs, then they got to get up. But if everyone's speaking the same language, then sometimes you have to concede as a player and go, okay, man, make sure these guys are right. I trust you to get them to my standard, which is now your standard or our standard. But I gotta take the seatbelt off and just walk away and let you do your job, because that's a really, really difficult dynamic in that building.
Yeah, it is. It's just really difficult, interesting. Don't really know who's pulling the strings, and I say that's what they got to get figured out between now and I say combine, free agency. That's a serious conversation that's got to be happening amongst certain people in that team, in that building over at 1265. So,
Guy, here's Bring the Heat asked if you could change one thing about the offense, what would it be and why? I'd say run the ball with more consistency. To do that, I would really be anxious on improving the fundamentals of your interior, the entirety of your offensive line, but particularly the way that you would attack double teams in second level, which means you're going to need it's a lot of footwork and a lot of explosiveness.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, because they have the two running backs to do it. They both, you got an experienced veteran with Aaron Jones, and you got a young guy in AJ Dillon, now in going into his fourth year, that is very, in terms of size, his ability, he could catch the ball at the backfield. Put them in the situations where they can win. Put them in plays that's going to make them successful. I know Aaron Jones could do a lot, but make sure you do it at the right time. Don't do it when it's a 3rd down and 1, when you're trying to run a screenplay to him. No, just run the ball straight downhill, get the first down, and then 1st down and 10, come up with something, special where it puts him in a situation that shows his ability, because we've seen him do it. We've seen him catch balls downfield, back shoulder throw, touchdown catches. He did that this year. He's done that in previous years. So we know what Aaron Jones can do if he's in the running backfield position, if he's in the slot, if he's on the far wide receiver. He's the wide receiver. We know what he could do there. AJ Dillon, same thing. We know what he could do. Put those players. Those are 2 of your best players in the backfield, along with your quarterback. Give them a string of plays that they're always in the positions to win. Do that, and then you work in everybody else, in the offense, and obviously on the defensive side as well.
Are they able to have a run first or a run priority offense with Aaron Rodgers?
I believe they do, because of the run game. I mean, the run game is proven this year. It's been proven. You got 2 guys that.
No, but what I mean is, okay. So let's say they go and they go, hey, Aaron, listen. Now I want you to hear me. We're going to be a run first offense this year. Is he going to be like, sure you are?
And like, run first to me doesn't mean you're going to run the whole game. What I hear when I hear run first is
55-45.
You're going to run you're going to establish the run, And then once I establish the run, when I let the defense know, hey, we're going to run the rock, then that's when I start sprinkling in my play action passes, my screen plays. As I know I watched old school football, you always establish the run first. If you have running backs that can establish the run, you do that by letting the defense know in that first series, we're going to run 2 or 3 or 4 plays to let you know we're coming downhill. And then once we get you on the bait, we get you on the hook. Now we're going to mix in what our quarterback does. He can do play action. We could get him out the pocket. He can move. He's mobile or what have you. And we're going, you know what? We got these wide receivers on the edges that then if you're not paying attention to them, because now you're focused so worried about Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, we got Watson, we got Dobbs, we got guys that get open and can catch the ball. So that's what I mean by when I hear, establish the run first. I'm not running the whole, So it's going to be a cut up of 60-40 or 50-40, 50 55-45, something like that, but something where there is a nice sprinkle in where that defense doesn't know what's coming at them.
I think what we saw this year, and I completely agree with you. And the difference really, I think, for us is like we don't want to be in spread all the time.
Yeah,
right.
It drives me nuts.
Like
if it's a 2-minute situation, I'm okay with that.
But you utilize your weapons. Under center play action passes has worked great for every team in the National Football League. Having a fullback is a weapon now that the pendulum swung the other way. Like there's just certain, like utilize the people that are valuable to your team. Mercedes Lewis, if he decides to stay, who knows if he's going to stay or retire. But if he's still there, and you can utilize him, or if you want to have a package where you have an extra offensive lineman, make yourself that kind of team where people have to really think about the personnel packages they're going to use because of the way you run the football. That's going to open up everything else you do. Yeah. Right. Hey, here's another question. Speaking of Mercedes. So Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, and I think Allen Lazard is on the free agent market, maybe
potential. Yep.
Do you see 1, 2, or 3 of those guys being back next year?
I definitely seeing Lazard being back. Mm-hmm. He's one of their leaders. He's their lead receiver right now. It's a coin flip to see both Cobb and Lewis coming back. Just because we know what Lewis can do with the run, and he slips up and catches a couple big passes to this year that were, and move the ball and move the needle. Randall Cobb, we know he's getting older, doesn't quite have the quicks that he does. Is he still a solid possession receiver? Yep. That's why I say there's a coin flip of those two both coming back. One of them for sure, and I'll say it'd be more Lewis than anything because they don't have a tight end. Yeah, he solidified. Right, he solidified himself as a guy that when the meetings start up and they start going over run plays, trust me, everybody's comfortable because they know 8-9's in the room. Yeah. Even as a running back, I'm like, I'm good. I know we're good. With my offensive line and then 89. Okay, yeah.
He can't be, but to your point, he can't be the second best blocker on the team next year.
No,
he can't.
Yeah.
Like we got.
Exactly.
He can't have the second highest blocking grade in the team next year.
You got right. It's a double-edged sword there.
Should we? Let's hit these. Actually, we'll hit them on Thursday. We'll hit the playoff stuff on Thursday.
Oh yeah, the playoffs and what about tonight though? We got college football national championship.
Oh yeah, who do you got?
We got TCU and Georgia. Mm-hmm. And I watched both games last weekend, and of course it's interesting how they try to pull up the doubts for a team that doesn't have a whole lot of weaknesses in terms of Georgia.
Right.
I like the underdog. I'm an underdog fan. So I love TCU in terms of what they've done. They've disrupted the whole college football landscape. And I like that. I'm just ready to be honest. I'm just ready for one hell of a game. I think I'm gonna say if I'm putting money down, I'm gonna be safe and put money down with Georgia.
Stetson Bennett, I don't really care about college football. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did watch both games, and I think it's fun to watch. But Stetson Bennett said something. I was just like, I'm voting for you no matter what. He said something to the effect of I don't know why everybody he goes, I play well in all these games. Nobody respects me. Nobody likes me. He said something like, I think I'm just too ugly to play quarterback. He said something like that.
And he ain't sexy looking. No,
he's not. You're the man, dude.
He's just a football player, though. And I like that. So he has that chip on his shoulder right there. And I like that. So, yeah, it's going to be a hell of a game. If I'm putting money down, I'm going Georgia. But TCU, they have it. Coach, that head coach, running back, wide receivers, defense. So I'm ready to watch some good football tonight.
Oh, man.
So.
All right, AG. Guys, you can find me at MikeWall68 on Twitter, TikTok, and Process to Perform on Instagram. Amon, my man, tell them about what you got going on.
Yeah. Yep. Tell me. You can go look at me at Amon Green 30 on one word on Twitter and Instagram, and also Amon Green Gamers Lounge on TikTok. That's all one word put together, and YouTube as well. So check us out this week. We have the CEO of UEL, Anthony Lucas, 300 Lucas. So it's like the MMA of esports, Mike. We have a league that is out there. It's crazy. So check it out. We're doing it this Thursday, excuse me. So check us out then. So Mike, man, have a great week.
All right, bro.